Hey guys, today we're going to go over how to set up a partition on your DSC Neo. So first what we want to do is jump into *8, then our installers code. So I'm using the default 5555. Then we want to go to 200. This is where you'll turn your partitions on. So once we're there, we can see we've got partition mask 1 to 8, into there. And you see you've got your first partition, partition number 1. You can see it's got yes. To change that to a no, you can hit star, and then back to a yes, hit star again. From there, you can right arrow, and you've got partition number 2, hit star to enable it, partition 3, all the way up to partition number 8. So here, I'll turn on partition number 2, and that means partition number 2 is enabled. Now, if I want to add zones to partition number 2, all I've got to do is hit hash one more time, and then I can go into 202. So 201 is partition number 1, 202 is partition number 2, this goes all the way up to 208. So from here, if I hit star, and I go in there, hit star again, and from here I can see zone number 1 in partition 2 is not enabled, so I can hit star to enable it, and then I can go all the way through, and I'm able to see all my zones up to number 8, and then if I want to see my next lot of zones, I hash once. I've got zones mask 1 to 8, right arrow across, this will give you 9 to 16, across again, 17 to 24, and so on. Now if I hash back out, I'm back on my main menu where I can see what partition I was going into. From here, if you want to add a PGM to your partition, all you've got to do is go to 007, right arrow across, now I'm on PGM number 1, I can star into there, and this is where it gives me partition number 1. Yes, it's enabled. Then if I right arrow, I've got partition number 2. I can hit star, and then I can enable PGM1 on partition number 2 and partition number 1. Another good thing to know is how to add a keypad to a partition. So what we want to do is identify what number keypad we've got. So while you're in programming, if you go to 860, this will give you your keypad number. So this keypad I've got at the moment is keypad number 1. If it was keypad number 2 that you're working on, it would tell you number 2. So from here I can hash once. Now I want to go to 861. That is keypad number 1. This goes all the way up to 876, which is keypad 16. So from there I've got 000, keypad partition mask, star. And from there I've got partition 1. So that's keypad for partition 1. If I wanted to, I could star in, and I could set it as a global keypad, and that means I'd be able to hold hash and access all my partitions. But for now, I'm just going to leave it as keypad for partition number 1. Okay. Now if we want to hash all the way out, what we can do is we can assign users to partitions. So if we go *5, then our master user code, by default it's 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see I've got user number 1, but if I go across to user number 2, I'll give them an access code. Sweet. Now I go across, we've got prox tag, user labels, partition assign. So from here, partition 1 yes, partition 2 yes. So they're all yeses. But what I can do is go through and make it so they only have access to partition number 1. This makes it so you can limit users to certain areas of a building, or if it's a set of shops being run off one panel, they only have access to partition 1, which might be your dairy or whatever, and then partition 2 might be a hairdresser's. Right, hash all the way out. So you can also have a thing called a common zone. This will be where if you've got zone 1 and it's a part of partition 1 and partition 2, when partition 1 is disarmed, zone 1 will disarm. When both partitions are disarmed, zone 1 will be disarmed. Zone 1 won't rearm until both partitions are rearmed. So if you've got a corridor and a bunch of offices all off of that corridor, and you've got partition 1, 2, 3, and 4, and they all share zone 1 won't rearm until all partitions using zone 1 are armed. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's everything. Have a good day.